hoping for someone, anyone, will tell you the truth. But the truth? Truth doesn't tiptoe. Truth doesn't smile politely and hand you a friendly invitation. No, truth slaps you awake at midnight. It scratches at your thoughts, whispers in shadows, and shakes your confidence until you can't pretend anymore. And that's where we begin. Right here. Right now. You see, some people, some rare, dangerous minds, they don't just guess the future, they see it. And when I say see it, I mean it's carved in front of them, bleeding into every decision you make without you even noticing. Ah, frightening, isn't it? You've probably heard it before. Predictions, forecasts, gut feelings. Cute little words for a serious game. But you're different. You're about to realize how lethal your foresight can be. They don't just admire it. No, they fear it. Executives, rivals, analysts, people who think they've got control over their tiny, orderly lives. They're running background checks. Every move, every connection, every whisper of a pattern you've ever let slip. And why? Because your mind, your sharp, unsettling mind, sees outcomes before anyone else even knows to ask the questions. It's a dangerous gift. And like all dangerous things, it terrifies the unprepared. Think about it. Every decision they make, every risk they calculate, you see the cracks. You feel the gaps. You anticipate the implosions before the first brick falls. And it's not luck, not intuition. This is skill sharpened to a razor's edge. But here's the thing. Skill doesn't excuse hesitation. In fact, hesitation is the poison that kills most people, long before reality ever has a chance. They shuffle. They stutter. They overthink. You strike. You predict. You adapt. And yes, you intimidate. Nah, it's not arrogance if it's reality. The tension. Can you feel it? That tiny electric buzz of being alive, of being seen as both a threat and a curiosity? That's power. Pure, unflinching, dark power. But power without purpose is chaos. And here's where most fail. They panic when they sense that their predictions aren't just accurate, they're deadly. You've crossed that line, you've looked at the board, counted the moves, and realized the game isn't fair because you've already rewritten the rules. Every glance, every nod, every gesture in the room becomes part of a puzzle you've solved before it was even placed in front of you. And that's why they check you. Not because they trust you, not because they hope to learn, but because fear is meticulous. Fear wants to understand. Fear wants to contain. They pull records. They dig through histories. They dissect patterns, all to see if you're a fluke, a mistake. But here's the kicker. There is no mistake. There is no luck. There is only preparation, observation, and the relentless pursuit of knowing what's coming before it arrives. And once you understand that, once you internalize it, the game flips. You're no longer reacting, you're leading, controlling, directing the chaos they're trying to survive. So let me ask you, right now, are you ready? Ready to embrace the edge of your mind where most people fear to glance? To step into a place where your predictions aren't whispers, they're warnings. Warnings that make grown men double-check their lives. Warnings that make the comfortable question their choices. It's exhilarating, isn't it? Terrifying, but exhilarating. And that, my friend, is where you start. That's the doorway. Step through it, and nothing will look the same ever again. Now we're entering the shadows, the part most people avoid, the part that separates the timid from the predators. You see, it's one thing to notice patterns. It's another to weaponize them, to turn them into tools that slice through uncertainty like a scalpel through paper. Most people stumble here. They rely on chance, on gut feelings, on wishful thinking. Not you. You've stepped beyond that. You're about to learn the method, the rhythm, the dark science of foresight. First, observation. Sounds simple, right? But most people glance, they don't see. They skim the surface of reality like it's a shallow pond. You dive deep. Every twitch of an eye, every hesitation, every barely audible word, it's data. It's a footprint in a world full of illusions. And when you start noticing the footprints, patterns emerge. Connections you didn't even know existed. People who thought they were invisible, exposed. Decisions that seemed random, suddenly predictable. You're no longer following the world. You're reading it, page by page, heartbeat by heartbeat. Next, anticipation. The dangerous part. This isn't guessing. It's certainty disguised as suspense. You take the data you've collected, the patterns you've traced, and you map outcomes like a chessboard. Every move, every reaction, every calculated risk, it's already accounted for. And here's the beauty. The moment you anticipate someone's action before they know it themselves, that's power. Pure, unforgiving. You're not just a step ahead. You're the shadow behind them, the whisper in their doubts, the signal they can't ignore. Then comes precision. Precision is merciless. You don't scatter guesses. You don't play with probabilities for fun. You focus. You calibrate. Every prediction is sharpened until it pierces reality. You deliver insight so accurate, so undeniable, that people start questioning their own senses. That's why they run background checks. They're afraid that your foresight isn't just clever, it's inevitable. And yes, it should scare them, because inevitability is a weapon. And when wielded correctly, it leaves no room for error, hesitation, or escape. Now resilience, because here's the trap most fall into. The more accurate you become, the more attention you attract. Eyes on you, questions, skepticism, envy. And if you falter even once, it ruins everything. No, you must be like steel, cold, unshaken. Even when your predictions fail, even when chaos bites back unexpectedly, you adapt, you refine, you learn, and you strike again. Better, faster, deadlier. The world tests you constantly, and every test you survive sharpens your edge. Finally, the mindset. This is where most crumble. Accuracy isn't just technique. It's identity. You can't waver. You can't second guess. You embrace the darkness, the tension, the weight of knowing more than anyone else. It's intoxicating, it's terrifying, but that's exactly what makes it beautiful. The moment you own it, the moment you internalize that your predictions are no longer hints, they're declarations, the game itself bends to your understanding. And at that moment, you don't just survive the world, you dominate it. Silently, invisibly, unrelentingly. So now, tell me, are you ready to step into that role? To see what others cannot? To act where others hesitate? To hold knowledge that shakes foundations? This isn't a promise of comfort. This is a call to power. Your predictions are your weapon. Your mind is your battlefield. And once you master these steps, once you sharpen every skill, focus every insight, you'll realize something terrifyingly true. They're not just checking your past. They're trying to prepare for your next move. And that, my friend, is how you stay untouchable in a world desperate to contain you. Now comes the moment where fantasy collapses and reality takes over. Because knowing is not enough. Seeing is not enough. Prediction without execution is just noise. And noise gets ignored. This is where you separate yourself from the spectators. This is where you stop being impressive and start being effective. You don't announce your insight, you don't explain your brilliance. You move quietly, deliberately, leaving results behind you like footprints no one notices until it's far too late. People talk too much. They expose their plans, their fears, their hopes. You don't. You listen. You let others underestimate you because they mistake calm for weakness. Meanwhile, you position yourself. You align timing, resources, and pressure points. When you act, it feels sudden to them. But for you, it was scheduled long ago. Precision doesn't rush. Precision waits. Timing over speed. Most people confuse movement with progress. They hurry, they chase, they react. You don't chase outcomes, you allow them to arrive. You step in exactly when resistance is lowest and impact is highest. That's why your predictions land so hard. Not because you were loud, but because you were patient. Patient enough to let others exhaust themselves while you conserve energy, clarity, and focus. Now comes influence. The quiet kind. The kind that doesn't demand attention. You adjust conversations subtly. You ask questions that steer decisions without ever revealing your hand. People think ideas were theirs. That's the beauty of it. When others believe they chose the path, they defend it fiercely, all while walking straight into the outcome you already mapped. Control without force, direction without exposure. But let's be honest. This level of awareness carries weight. Isolation, pressure, the constant awareness that you're operating several steps ahead while pretending you're standing still. That's the cost, and most people can't handle it. They crave validation. You don't. You crave accuracy. You crave leverage. You crave alignment between foresight and action. And that craving sharpens you. Then comes the moment they notice, not all at once. Subtle shifts, longer pauses in meetings, extra verification, questions that circle you instead of confronting you. They don't accuse, they investigate. Because deep down, they know something feels off. Outcomes keep bending in your favor. Decisions keep landing exactly where you expected. And uncertainty makes people nervous. Nervous people watch closely. And this is where you stay disciplined. You don't gloat. You don't tighten your grip. You don't change your rhythm. You stay consistent, calm, observant. Because consistency is what makes your accuracy undeniable. One correct prediction is luck. Repeated accuracy is a threat. And threats don't need to announce themselves. They just exist. So here you are now, standing at the edge of capability. Most people will never touch. Not because they lack intelligence, but because they lack restraint. You've learned to see, to wait, to move with intent. And as this continues, one truth becomes clear. The world doesn't fear loud confidence. It fears quiet certainty. The kind that doesn't explain itself. The kind that doesn't hesitate. The kind that already knows how this ends. And now you understand why they're watching. Why they're checking. Why your presence alone shifts behavior. This isn't about proving anything. This is about mastery. And once mastery settles in, you don't need permission. You don't need recognition. You simply move forward, calmly, while everyone else tries to figure out how you knew. Now it's time. The edge you've been circling, the threshold you've been testing. Everything up to this moment has led here. Observation, anticipation, precision, influence, mastery, all of it converges. And now, the final truth hits. Your predictions are not just tools, they are declarations. Silent, invisible, deadly. Every insight you've honed, every pattern you've dissected, every calculated move you've made, it becomes unstoppable. Not because the world cannot fight back, but because the world doesn't see it coming. Feel that tension? That electric weight in your chest? That's the thrill of knowing the world bends to your foresight. And yet, it's not enough to know, not enough to watch. You must act. Every thought, every calculation, every silent warning, it demands execution. Hesitation is the poison that kills your power faster than any rival ever could. The moment you step forward with certainty, the moment you align prediction and action, that's when the real game begins. And they can only scramble, react, and question themselves. The irony. They think they're studying you, running checks, scouring your history. But history is irrelevant to you. Patterns are irrelevant once you've understood them. What matters is now. This moment, every choice you make here is a ripple that echoes through their plans. And the deeper they probe, the more they reveal. Every weakness, every overconfidence, every predictable step exposed, waiting. And you are the observer and the blade. Now, embrace it. Fully. The fear they feel, the subtle panic, the silent respect they cannot voice. This is power at its purest. Not loud, not dramatic, not flashy. Quiet, precise, relentless. And when you combine that with your foresight, when you align prediction with execution, you create outcomes that leave them questioning reality itself. That is the apex. That is the point where your accuracy becomes deadly. And finally, remember this: the world will always watch. It will always doubt. It will always test. But you don't retreat. You don't explain. You don't justify. You move, you strike, you predict. And in every silent, precise action, you remind them, remind yourself why your mind is not just observing the future, it's shaping it. Every choice, every pause, every glance, a signal, a warning, a declaration. And that is mastery. So now, stand up, lean forward. Let your awareness sharpen. Let the world scramble. Because from this point forward, every prediction you make is not just insight, it's influence, it's power, it's unstoppable, in the sense that it cannot be ignored, questioned, or denied. They check you, They watch you. They fear you. But you are ready. Always ready. Always ahead. And that is the dark thrill of seeing tomorrow before it arrives. Someone out there looked at you and decided they already had you figured out. They thought they knew your limits, thought your silence meant weakness, thought your patience was permission, and you let them think it. You watched, measured, waited. Not because you were lost, but because you were building something they couldn't see. This is where the mask slips and the room gets quiet. They smiled at you like you were harmless, spoke to you like you were behind, tested you with small pushes and casual dismissals wrapped in politeness. They expected noise. They expected a reaction. They expected you to break character. But you stayed still, too still for their comfort. That stillness made them curious. Curiosity became confidence, and confidence became a test. They thought pressure would flatten you. They thought one push would expose you. Nah, pressure was a language you learned fluently when nobody bothered to look twice. The danger was never in what you showed them. It was in what you didn't. While they were busy performing, you were practicing restraint. While they chased attention, you built control. They counted your steps but missed your timing. They mocked your calm because they didn't understand it. They confused your quiet with emptiness, and that was the mistake. Silence isn't absence, it's storage. Every moment you held back, something sharpened, something precise, something disciplined. The joke was never on you. It was on the ones who thought surface-level reading was enough. Let's be honest. You've been underestimated your entire life, not loudly but subtly, through lowered expectations, sideways glances, and advice you never asked for, through labels that never fit but were repeated enough to sound official. They tried to define you early so they could relax later, so they wouldn't have to watch you too closely, and you played along. You learned how people reveal themselves when they think you're beneath notice. You learned how control hides behind tone and how authority hides behind familiarity. That kind of inner training doesn't show on the surface. No. It shows when the test finally arrives. Because the moment they tried you, everything shifted. Their voice changed. Their confidence cracked. They realized this wasn't the version of you they rehearsed against. You didn't argue or explain or explode. You responded with clarity, with boundaries, with precision that made the air feel tight. That's when they felt the gap, the distance between where they were operating and where you had already climbed. They sensed depth they couldn't reach. Suddenly the jokes stopped landing. Suddenly the room felt smaller. That's the price of misjudging someone who mastered themselves in private. This isn't about ego. It's about awareness. You didn't rise by proving anything to them. You rose by refusing to leak energy where it didn't belong. You chose discipline over drama, growth over noise. You learned when to speak and when silence would do the work better. Real strength doesn't announce itself. It lets others collide with it. And when they do, the impact teaches the lesson without a single extra word. They didn't meet your potential. They met your preparation, and that realization unsettled them. So if you've ever wondered why you feel out of place, this is why. You're not meant to blend into shallow expectations. You operate on a different level of focus, control, and self-command. Not louder, but deeper. Not faster, but sharper. And when people finally notice, It's never during the buildup. It's during the moment they cross a line they assumed was safe. That's when understanding hits. Stay with me. Because now that the introduction is done, what comes next is where things get serious. Now here's where things separate. Once they realize they misjudged you, they don't respond with humility. They respond with confusion, with subtle panic, with a sudden need to regain control. You'll hear it in the way their voice speeds up. You'll feel it in the way they test boundaries they never touched before. They want to find the edge. They want to know how far they can still go. This is the moment most people ruin everything by reacting instead of observing. But not you. You don't need to escalate or perform or remind anyone who you are. Your composure already speaks. While they scramble to adjust, you stay steady. You accepted long ago that being misunderstood is part of your path. You learned that clarity doesn't come from convincing others. It comes from standing firm without apology. That kind of presence unsettles people. Not because it's loud, but because it doesn't move. Watch what happens next. They'll try to rewrite the story. They'll say you changed, say you're different now. Pretend this version of you came out of nowhere. As if growth is sudden and not built in silence. As if discipline appears without repetition. As if restraint isn't earned through years of choosing control over reaction. They didn't see the work, so they deny its existence. That's how people protect their pride. Here's the hard truth. Some will respect you more, and others will resent you deeply. When you raise your standard, it exposes where they settled. Your calm becomes a mirror they didn't ask for. Your boundaries feel like rejection to those who benefited from your patience. They'll push again, not to win, but to reassure themselves that you're still manageable. They want proof that you'll fold, that you'll return to the version of you they were comfortable with. No. That version doesn't exist anymore. This is where discipline matters more than confidence. Confidence can be loud. Discipline is quiet and consistent. You don't correct every misunderstanding or respond to every challenge. You don't explain every decision. You move with intention now. More selective, more aware. You understand that access to you is earned, not assumed. When people feel that shift, they either rise to meet it or fade out. Both outcomes work in your favor. You might notice a new kind of distance at this stage. Not isolation, but separation. Conversations feel thinner. Energy feels heavier around certain people. That isn't loss. It's alignment. You're no longer available for dynamics that drain you. You've outgrown being reactive. Growth always costs something. Usually familiarity, usually comfort, but never your integrity. Understand this clearly. They didn't fail to see you. They chose not to look closely. Underestimating you made them feel safe. When that illusion broke, it forced them to confront their own limits. Some people can't handle that, so they minimize, mock, or pull away. Let them. You're not here to be convenient. You're here to be solid. From here on, your task is simple but demanding. Stay sharp without becoming cold. Stay calm without becoming passive. Stay focused without becoming rigid. You don't need revenge, validation, or closure from people who never understood you. Your progress is the response. Your consistency is the message. Your restraint is the proof. So when their tone changes now, remember this. They aren't reacting to who you are today. They're reacting to the fact that you were always capable of this and they missed it. That realization stays with them. It humbles some and unsettles others. Either way, you keep moving. Because once your level is seen, there's no going back. The game becomes internal, not because the pressure disappears, but because the attention shifts. Fewer people question you now. Fewer people test you openly. Instead, they watch closely, quietly, measuring your consistency, waiting for a slip, waiting for proof that this version of you is temporary. This is the phase where discipline stops being impressive and starts being necessary. You'll notice how silence changes meaning here. Before it was ignored. Now it's studied. When you don't react, people fill the gap with assumptions. They project motives. They invent narratives. Let them. You've learned that not every misunderstanding needs correction. Some confusion protects your focus. Some distance preserves your edge. You don't owe clarity to everyone who observes you. You owe alignment to yourself. This is also where temptation shows up differently. Not as chaos, but as comfort. Familiar voices resurface. Old dynamics try to re-enter through casual conversations and harmless jokes. They'll test if your boundaries were situational or structural, if this growth was a phase or a foundation. Nothing exposes progress faster than how you handle invitations back to what you outgrew. You start choosing differently now. You pause before responding. You listen longer than you speak. You notice patterns instead of words. Your awareness sharpens because you're no longer proving anything, you're protecting something. Momentum, focus, direction. You understand that consistency isn't about intensity, it's about repetition. Quiet choices made daily, no applause required. There will be moments where doubt whispers, where you wonder if the distance is worth it, if the restraint costs too much, if being composed means being misunderstood forever. No. That doubt isn't a sign of weakness. It's a checkpoint, a reminder that growth stretches identity before it stabilizes. You're not losing yourself, you're refining. Pay attention to how you recover now. Not how you perform, but how you reset. When things don't go as planned, you don't spiral, you adjust. When pressure hits, you don't lash out, you recalibrate. That ability separates those who change temporarily from those who evolve permanently. Control under pressure isn't visible until it's tested repeatedly. This is also where respect becomes subtle. Less praise, more space. People stop advising you. They stop correcting you. They start checking themselves around you. Not because you demand it, but because consistency teaches others how to treat you. You didn't ask for authority. You embodied it through behavior. That kind of influence doesn't announce itself. So protect this stage. Not aggressively, but intentionally. Guard your routines. Guard your energy. Guard your standards. You don't need to explain why you move the way you do now. Explanation invites negotiation. Alignment requires none. Those meant to understand will adjust. Those who can't will fade. Both outcomes maintain your clarity. And here's the final truth for this part. The real test was never whether they would see your level. It was whether you would stay there once they did. Attention can distract. Recognition can soften edges. But you didn't build this to be admired. You built it to be stable. Stay here. Because in the next part, we talk about sustaining this level without becoming isolated or rigid. This is where many lose their footing. Not because they fall backward, but because they lean too far forward. When your level is recognized, isolation can feel like safety. Distance can feel like control. You start believing that separation is the only way to protect what you built. But strength that can't coexist becomes brittle, and you didn't come this far to harden into something hollow. You don't need walls everywhere. You need filters. There's a difference. Walls block everything. Filters let in what aligns and keep out what distracts. At this stage, you're not cutting people off emotionally. You're adjusting access intelligently. You engage without overexposing. You listen without absorbing. You stay present without being pulled off center. That's not coldness. That's mastery. You'll notice how your standards quietly shape your environment now. Conversations become more intentional. Interactions shorten but deepen. You no longer entertain endless explanations or circular debates. Not out of arrogance, but out of respect for your time. You understand that energy spent unnecessarily is energy unavailable for growth. Funny how maturity looks boring to those addicted to chaos. This is also where rigidity tries to disguise itself as discipline. You might catch yourself rejecting anything unfamiliar, dismissing perspectives too quickly, guarding so tightly that nothing new gets through. That's the warning sign. Discipline should sharpen you, not shrink you. Control should create options, not fear. Stay alert here. Growth still requires openness, just not recklessness. Pay attention to how you lead yourself now. You don't push constantly. You pace. You rest without guilt. You move forward without urgency. You've learned that sustainability beats intensity every time. This rhythm keeps you grounded. It keeps your decisions clean. It keeps your reactions measured. No. Burnout isn't proof of commitment. It's proof of imbalance. You'll also notice that the right people don't demand explanations. They observe, adjust, and meet you where you are. They don't rush your process or compete with your calm. Their presence doesn't drain you, it steadies you. This is how alignment feels. Not loud, not dramatic, just clear and supportive. Remember this as you move forward. Your level isn't something to defend constantly. It's something to maintain quietly. You don't announce boundaries. You live them. You don't chase respect. You demonstrate consistency. You don't fear connection. You choose it carefully. That balance is what keeps you human while staying sharp. And this is why few ever stay here long. It requires awareness without paranoia, confidence without arrogance, and openness without surrender. You're learning to hold all of that at once. Stay with it, because in the final part, we'll talk about what happens when this balance becomes second nature and your presence starts influencing without effort.